Here with Fran Jr. Colson. And how did you get your start in auto racing?
Well, my father, he actually sponsored a couple of cars. A guy from Fitchburg drove for him, and then I just, stayed with it. Got out of the service. A friend of mine offered for me to drive his car for a couple of weeks because he was he had to go to a boot camp up in New York, so he let me take it for a couple of weeks, and I drove it at Westboro, and that's where it all began. I just he ended up selling me the car, and I just continued on from there.
And given the variety of tracks that your career's taken you to, what were some of your successes at Westboro?
Westboro was one of my favorite tracks. It was probably the most consistent track as far as setting your car up for the track. You didn't have to worry about one turn being the one way and the other turn being another way. They were both pretty similar. So it was one of my favorite tracks. It's too bad it's gone, but what can you do?
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people say the competition there was really close as well.
Oh yeah, it
with
was
the field.
awesome. The competition, you could race with guys, and not worry about it. And you knew the style of driving, and so you just drove accordingly.
And did you win many races or track championships at Westboro when you first started?
Actually, I was runner-up the last year that I raced there.
Okay.
I believe it was in '78. Lenny Gillesma won the championship that year. He actually broke a distributor in qualifying, and he didn't have a distributor, so I lent him a distributor so he could run the feature that night.
What's your favorite memory of Westboro?
Well, I won some races at Westboro. That's probably one of my favorite memories, and going there and watching, before I raced myself, the modifieds, and the guys that you look up to, and like Richie Evans and Bugsy Stevens and Fats Caruso, all of the guys that you seen as a kid, So that was one of my favorite, to see. We went and watched. They had an open show modified race one weekend, and Richie Evans came down from New York and blew his engine in qualifying and put a small block in it. That's when you could run a big block versus a small block, and put a small block in, started last, and ended up winning the race. So that was pretty good memory there.
You had some wins, but any bad crashes or?
I had one bad crash at Monadnock. That was in my later career in the broke a couple of ribs and was in the hospital for a few days, but didn't hold me back. I didn't lose my drive to do it.
Wow. Well, I didn't realize you had started your career at Westboro, but by the mid-1980s you had moved from Westboro. You were running Thompson, Riverside Park with the Pro Stock, and you were winning track championships even up in Monadnock. So you had a pretty successful streak in the mid-1980s there.
Yes. I won in '83 and '84. Between the 2 years, I won 25 races. Bought a new car out of RGM Racing chassis in Connecticut, and Mike Stefanik built the car, and that was one of the best cars I think I've driven. But it was a good time because whenever you win, it was always good. And the second year that I ran that car was even more more of a memory because it was better. We made the car better, and it was. I think we were ahead of our time because I look at the old picture of that car now versus what we're running now, and it's very similar. So we were a little. I think we were a little, as far as our team was, a little bit ahead. But we all ran the same engines and everything, so it wasn't like we had something different than anybody else. Just a little different body style and more streamlined. But it was a good car. and we won 7 track championships. So you know that's a good memory to have. You know, raced against some of the Cup guys back in those days. Dale Earnhardt, we raced with him. Buddy Baker, Richard Petty, Tim Richmond. You know, there's not a lot of guys that have raced that can say that. You know, and the more fortunate guys, you know, there are other guys that can say that too, that I raced against, and that's pretty cool.
With all the different tracks you ran back in that era, winning all the races you were, is that something you were able to take in and appreciate at the time, because you're focusing on running Thompson one night, got to get the car ready to run Riverside, then go run Monadnock. So there's a lot to do with getting that car ready race to race, but you're still going to win another race. So it seems so hectic looking back on it.
Yeah, it was pretty hectic, but had an awesome team. Everybody was looking for the same outcome, and everybody that worked on the team had a job, and they did it to the best of their ability. So it made the whole my career in that time very successful and very memorable.
And last I checked, you were still running up a Monadnock, and I see you a few times a year down at Thompson, but what's your schedule like these days?
My schedule's not. I run, you know, whenever they race at Monadnock, which is every other week. We run it. We alternate with the modifieds. It's a little bit easier on us, you know. So we have a little extra time if there's if we have any problems. But and then we go to Thompson in the fall to go and race the World Series. It's still fun when it doesn't become fun anymore, and you're not and if you're not competitive. I'm very competitive, and if I'm not, I don't want to keep doing it. You know, I don't want to be in nobody's way, and I still am competitive, so I'm still doing it. You know, I'm going to be 60 this year, so. It still doesn't seem like that, but it is. So can't change that.
No, well, it's only a number. As long as you're still having fun and being successful out there, it's all that matters.
Yeah. So.
And given your long career from the high banks of Westboro all the way to high-speed track like Thompson, you've seen just the pro stock car alone develop from when it was really in its infancy to where it is through today, and the highs and lows. What would you change about race cars these days, or racing in general?
I think the biggest thing that racing should pay attention to is the safety. You know, that's the most critical thing, I think, in a car, having all the right safety features in the cars, that they need to have to keep it a successful, sport. You know, that if you're not safe, somebody's going to get hurt. So I think that's one of the things that they really have to pay attention to, and they are. NASCAR's been involved, for a long time, and that's one of the biggest things that NASCAR, really, puts forward is safety. So that's one of the things I think is one of the most important things in racing.
Well, thank you.